Okay, SDLC is short for System Development Lifecycle, which is applicable for any type of software as well as mobile app. So mobile app is one of special category of software. When we say software, usually anything that runs on operating system, yeah. So if you have operating system on your desktop, which is Windows or your Mac, okay, so you can run a software. Same goes with your mobile. So previously, maybe the most popular operating system for mobile was Symbian, but after Nokia went down because of the way of marketing and the way they uh, produce their product is not parallel with what the market want. What happened is Nokia lost the market, and now we have majority of the user either iOS user or Android. So last week, if you recall, we have discussed the differences between Android and iPhone. And as I mentioned, we have done a survey last semester. Most FCM students use iPhone. iPhone are dominant in only UK and US. For the rest of the world is Android, except for FCM as well. Okay, so for the as a continuity of the last week topic, so we know that there are two major platforms for users in terms of operating system. Today we'll look at the method of how developer produce or come up with the final product, which is the app itself. So as I mentioned, app is a special category of software because it runs on mobile operating system. Nowadays we have, other than your phone, it might be your smartwatch, it might be your smart accessories, necklace, bracelet, smart earrings, smart rings. What else? You have a lot of smart devices at home as well, IoT devices. So if it have operating system, then it must have a software. Okay, it goes together. Operating system and the system software, then we have additional software that you can install. We call it as generally software. But both operating system and the apps that you install are software. So system is a generic word, including software. Previously, we have uh, before we have digital era. The era before the digital era is called maybe we have industrial revolution. If you read the history book, we have industrial revolution. Okay, where a lot of industry are booming in a lot of countries, factories, manufacturing, the meat industry. So in this industry, usually how they produce a physical product is by stages. First stage, second stage, third stage, and to make it more efficient, they arrange it physically in line in factory. They have line that goes through a lot of different departments. So the product goes from one department to another department physically, maybe on a conveyor belt. Okay, that's manufacturing style. Same goes with software. So they have adapted the system where the stages in factory are transformed to phases in your software development, including apps. Okay, so there are many variations of SDLC. How do I hide this? Okay, so I can hide this, but I think I'll forgot whether it's recording or not. Okay, generally there are a few variations of the SDLC. Some have 7 cycles or 7 phases. Some have 5. Some have 6. Overall, they will include planning. Okay, and the next one might be research. Might be, yeah. So the keyword slightly different. After planning, maybe analysis. They have different keyword, but the sub process within the primary process might be the same. So in other diagram or other reference book, if you refer to any other reference book, including your web design, maybe in your web design class you have learned that what are the processes before you come up with the website. You do the research, you do the prototype, then you start implementing on it on the software, development software. Then you test. Okay, same goes here. We have after planning, we have defined requirement, then we have design and prototyping. So majority of you will be somewhere here, the third phase, design and prototyping. And the fourth phase, this is where we need some skills on more on technical of coding. Yeah. So the one that you've been using last week, Good Barber, Software. Sorry, I cancelled Bill Fire because it required credit card registration. So for FCM1, maybe some of you asked why we changed. We changed because Bill Fire suddenly required you to register credit card. Um, is it too bright or okay? Okay, yeah? You can see, yeah? So if it's too bright, you can watch it in your phone screen. It's better for me so I can see you with the bright light. Next, we have the testing phase. So before the app is launched in the Play Store, okay, so we have the Apple Store and Google Play Store as the official platform of the software or app distribution. Before we do that, we have to go through several testing. So if you learn web design or other similar subject, we have a lot of different tests, black box tests, sandbox tests, A and B tests, many tests. Okay, so we have UIX tests, every element, possible element that involve the interface, technical, back end, front end must be tested before the product is launched. Okay, so testing is very, very important. So all phases are equally very important. Then you can deploy. Deploy means we start to put the content or software or the app online. Or in other words, you publish to Play Store or Apple Store. And the last one is operation and maintenance. This software is not 100% perfect. So sometimes people will complain on certain function or certain error, or they requested certain upgrades. That is very common because it's difficult to satisfy everyone. Okay, so this is where operation maintenance will produce updates or a better version of the initial version. Okay, so under SDLC, there are a few ways on how you can actually execute these processes. So we have sometimes seven processes, sometimes six, sometimes five. You can refer a lot of references online, and sometimes if you learn other subject, you'll see similar processes appear in the similar topic. Okay, so the common approach or model to execute these seven phases is you might see waterfall model, V model, and the most common nowadays is the agile model. So this model will be covered in other slides. Okay, next. There are 34 slides. 34 times 3 minutes. Okay, 90 minutes, can 90 minutes. Tomorrow there will be traffic jam in certain area. So the China delegation will be coming. So make sure you are aware that there's a lot of major road closure. So make sure you are aware of the traffic jam time, especially those who are attending my class. Okay, so you make sure you are aware with the announcement by the police and traffic officers. You might get the messages around by now. Okay, so next one, example variation of SDLC. As I mentioned, some book will put 7 stages, some put 6. This is another variation with slightly different naming for every stages. So previously we saw number 1 is planning, number 2 is something else. Okay, so they can have different names, but overall the sub-processes might be similar. Okay, so the previous diagram we saw planning, define requirement, design. But this one, discovery, design, development. But the next one, testing, similar. Release is launching or deployment. Maintenance is identical. Okay, so 1 and 2 may be slightly different. Okay, what are the 7 stages it's all about? So number 1 is planning. So in your design class, your lecturer in design class, AD classes, I believe all are AD right here. Anybody from other majoring? Ada. VR ada. No, ada majoring all AD this semester. So last semester we have mixture of some other department. This semester it seems like what's left is AD. And actually this class is around 550 plus. One third have not taken my subject before, so as I mentioned, I have to repeat certain stuff for some of your friends. One third of you have not taken my previous subject. So you might see some of the redundancy in this slide again. Okay, so planning is the first one. Before you start anything, um, you have to plan. Yeah, you have to have a blueprint, master plan, or your strategy on how you can execute this in the most efficient way. Okay, so we need efficiency. What is efficiency? You are using you are optimizing the resources. The resources might be financial, it might be manpower, it might be your time. So you have to plan these 3 major things: time, manpower, financial. Other than that, maybe there are other factors, but that's the 3 major factors. Okay, so the planning requires some kind of research. Okay, so the next point is you have to do market research. This is what you have been doing in your AD class. Before you come up with a design, you have to do a market research. Same goes with this subject. Market research is very important. So you have to do some kind of survey questionnaire. You did that in your AD class. So good news, in this class, maybe we don't have to do that. Okay, so in this class, we will touch here and there. We are not going to all the 7 stages. We are going to try to experimenting, exploring some of the stages, if not all. Okay, then we have feasibility analysis, whether this project is achievable with the resources that we have or not. Are you capable on executing the project until the end? Okay, feasible. Can we do it? Can we accomplish it? What else? We are going to have important decisions during planning. So after doing the research, probably you meet the client, you as a developer, you are part of the designing team, you are the lead designer, you are the UI UX expert, you are the interaction designer. All of you have an important role somewhere in the 7 stages. So some of the decisions that you have to make as a company that develop any type of software, or particularly in this subject is apps. First, you have to define the project scope. Yeah, how far we are going to go, how many users will be using this. Is it Malaysian only, or is it certain area, certain urban area, certain type of demography, certain type of psychography of user? So that's the project scope. What are the objectives? So what are the things that you want to achieve by introducing this app? What is the problem that you are trying to solve with this app? What are the functions? Those are the kind of decisions that you have to make. Next, in other subject, you might say, you might come across target audience. That will be in this subject, target user. Or in other subject, might be end user. End user, consumer, target audience, same thing, but maybe you use it in a different scenario. So here we have target user or target audience in your design. Next, most important, you need budget. As a developer, to sustain, you need to be paid, right? A budget given by your client to pay all your expenditure, including manpower, including all your resources, including the salary, including everything, overhead costs. So you have to calculate this. So we need some expertise in budgeting as well. In last semester, we have budgeting, including in one of the exercise. Let's say you are given with this certain amount of money, how much you will spend it here and there. How much you spend it on your hardware, how much you spend it on your manpower. Okay, you will have this Excel or project management software for you to explore. And then technical feasibility. Do you have the technical expertise to do it? Do you have the proper hardware, proper development tool to execute the project? Okay, next is deciding on the type of mobile app that you are going to produce. If you are going to produce for games, okay, we need a fast product, fast interaction. So if it's a fast kind of interactivity, we prefer native kind of development. Okay, native means you will have an installer for Android, you will have an installer for iOS, separate installer for separate platform. Or the one you did in your Good Barber and your software is called PWA, Progressive Web App. Okay, so Progressive Web App is more on something that interact like website based data, display data, receive data. Okay, so it's not too fancy like games. Yeah. Also, PWA is mostly informative website. You display your video, you display your map, you display your textual content easily with PWA because it opens on any web browser. Okay, the only difference is maybe the screen size. The screen size maybe determine the layout. If you open the URL in handphone, it appears with mobile layout. If you open it in a foldable device, it might be appear like a tablet layout. Okay, next, the second phase is called analysis. So sometimes they put it together. Planning, research, analysis. Sometimes they separate it. Planning is one. After you plan, you go analysis. Or the reverse. So there's no 100% written in black and white that this is correct. First is what, second is what. Okay, it might be the reverse. So the second one might be analysis. In some other textbook, it might put as research combined with analysis. Okay, so here we are going to do some kind of analysis like the most common that you are been doing so far is SWOT diagram. Okay, I don't have to repeat SWOT because your other lecturer have already bombarded you with the SWOT kind of thing. So if you are in Gamma, probably you have listened to SWOT lecture for more than 3 times. First semester SWOT, second semester SWOT again, third semester again the lecturer repeats SWOT. Okay, other than SWOT, actually there are other types of analysis, but for FCM maybe that's the easiest for you. You will read something about market analysis. There's a lot, yeah. Okay, next we go to your expertise, which is design. So as a designer, what kind of design that suits your target audience? You might have your own preference, but your preference doesn't matter because what matters is what your target user wants. Okay, sometimes you like a design, you think it's great, but once you give it to the user to test it, okay, they have a lot of complaint. That's very common. But as a designer, you should take this feedback as one of the way for you to improve the UI and UX. Okay, so you have to improvise the UI and UX because sometimes what we like is what not the it's not the same as what the user like. Okay, so the UX and UI have several principles. In one of the lecture, I will be going through of what is the principle of UI and UX. In the lab, we already have gone through some of the document given by Android developers and Apple developers. They have set of best principles, what to do, what to avoid in designing. Okay, so you have to follow the principle as given by Apple and Android because that's the majority of what the user are using. Other than visual design, okay, we look at here. We have back-end architecture, databases, and server-side technology design. So design is not about UI UX only. When we say design, maybe people forgot about this technical design. We have to design the architecture of the system. So maybe that's not our expertise. Your expertise is more on the visual design. So we leave it that to IT student and probably those who are doing some kind of data analysis. That's their expertise. So for tutorial one, I already show you some of the method how we can use air table for your database. Maybe we have some proper tutorial. Just now I demonstrate roughly what air table is capable of. So for other classes, maybe I'll come to that session. We'll come to that session. Air table for your databases. And server-side technology. So in last semester, you have been using WordPress local version, WP local, which is running on your a server emulation that run on your local machine. Okay, we have a better version which is using WAM. WAM you can publicly share your URL, but for local WP, you are the only one who can simulate the URL. Next, development. Okay, so after design, we go for development. Okay, here, straight to the point, start to code. You'll be using no-code environment. No-code environment can achieve an output, decent output, but usually we have a lot of problem with customization. Usually it's difficult to achieve what the actual user want. You can achieve easy stuff like displaying certain things, like arranging that what is very achievable in no-code environment. But for specific function, like if the user want specific function to be designed and it is not part of the template, then you are in problem. You can't use no-code environment. You have to find a way to code it by using a specific language. Yeah? So this is where actual coding have its own advantage over no-code environment that we've been exploring last week. Developer, we have two, usually we divide two parts of development. Front end is what the user will see. Back end is what the system admin will see. Okay, so when you log in as admin, you'll see a dashboard usually. Dashboard for admin. If you log in as user, you also see a dashboard, but dashboard for user. That's function more on your personalized data display, whereas for admin function, we have things like customization of the overall system and deleting user, managing a lot of stuff. So we have front end and back end design. So in your WordPress class, you are actually doing front end design. You are customizing what the visitor of the website will see. So you are doing front end design using WordPress, or to be specific, what type of the software that plugin that you are using? Plugin for layout. Anybody recall? Huh? Elementor. So that's the front end, mostly front end development in terms of UI UX, mostly you play around with layout. Okay. Next we have testing. Rigorous testing. Rigorous means you have to do all sort of tests, if possible A to Z. Nothing is missed. Okay, so rigorous. And you have to put some load. Load means okay, if this is table, I put a lot of heavy stuff on it to test the load. Okay, same goes with the system. If we have a system, we test. 100 people access the same system at the same time. So what happens if certain load are given to the system? Okay, we have a lot of testing, and this one will be one of the lecture, testing the system or apps. Last week I've mentioned about performance testing for your phone. So by now you should have AnTuTu score for your phone, and you have your Geekbench test for your phone. If you haven't tested your phone, please try to test the result and see what are the score. Next we have deployment. Deployment generally it goes to Apple App Store or Google Play Store, but sometimes some developer they don't put their apps to this store. They give you a link, okay, a link for you to download. So the problem with giving a link is it's less secure. Maybe your app have not gone through the security inspection of Google Play Store and Apple Store. So it is less safe for general public user. Your app might contain some loop or virus, we don't know. But if it's already stored in Apple Store and Google Play Store, the chances that there are virus or malware is lower. But there is still chances that any app that you download from Google Play Store still contain malware. Still, yeah. You can search in Google cases where Google Play Store is hosting malware or app that contain virus or spyware. Okay, so to publish to Apple Store and Google Play Store, we are not going to that stage because it requires payment. If you go to Bootbubble, click publish to Apple Store, iOS, publish to Android. Click, 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 click. One of the stage is payment. So you need a Google Android development account and Apple developer account. Okay, payment is different for Apple Store and Google Play Store is different. Google Play Store you pay one time. Apple Pay App Store you pay every time you want to publish. If I'm not mistaken, haven't changed at the start. Okay, next maintenance. So as I mentioned, when you receive upgrades, okay, this means that the developer have done their job. When you install any app from Apple Play Store or Android Play Store, always look at the latest update. When is the last time the developer update this app? Okay, when you go to Play Store, one of the criteria of choosing a good app is looking at the date of last update. Uh, okay, so if you go to Play Store or Apple Store, sorry, sometimes I only open Google Play Store. Apps, okay, the criteria of the apps, other than looking at the star, is always, what's this? Let's see. Okay, look at the last update. Okay, so if it haven't been updated for 1 year, okay, you can actually search for another app. Avoid app that have not been updated recently. So 1 year is considered quite a long time in mobile development. Okay, mobile development is a very fast track compared to software. Okay, so if you look at Windows evolution, okay, Windows evolution every few years they come out with Windows. Whereas for Android, less than that sometimes. Okay, so Windows 2 is 1987, Windows 3 is, what is it? Windows 3 around 90s. Okay, we have it in table. Okay. So if you look at the evolution of Windows version, where's the table? Here. When I want the table, it doesn't display the table. Okay, here. Oh, no. Okay, now if you look here, after Windows 95, you have to wait 3 years before you got Windows 98. Then wait another 2 years, Windows 2000. Then wait a few other years, a few more years, then you get whatever you got now. So Windows 10 is around 2014. Windows 11 is around 6 or 7 years after that. 2021 you get Windows 11. So it's not as fast as Android. Yeah. So mobile, if more than 1 year, is already obsolete. Yeah. So either hardware or software. If you compare the platform, desktop or laptop with your Android version. Okay, so if you look at Android evolution, every 1 year you can get a new release almost. Yeah. Okay, you look here, Jelly Bean 2012, and then same year you got two, Jelly Bean 2013, KitKat 2013. So it's very fast-paced industry, mobile compared to desktop development. Same goes with software for your desktop. Software for your desktop, maybe it takes a few years before they release another one. Whereas for mobile app, after a certain month, they already release an update or even newer version. So the last 4 or 5 version is almost every year. Yeah? 2020, 21, 22. Now every 1 year they release a newer version. So it's very fast paced. 1 year considered as obsolete in mobile, whereas in desktop, maybe 1 year is still acceptable, 2 years acceptable, but not for mobile. So it's very fast. The market demand, the style of the way of the user are using it. Okay, so the developer have to come up with new idea, new updates, okay, to attract more users, retain their customers. Okay, next, you can go through this interesting article. It has some guidance for beginners on what are the processes that you have to go through before we can publish or come out with an app for the public. Let me stop the recording first. If it's too long, the file is too large.